Here I'm going to compare the book versus the TV show. And for this one, it's going to be Bridgerton. So I watched the first season of Bridgerton and it was absolutely great. I loved it. And I think the reason I loved it so much was because I didn't expect it to be that good. So it exceeded my expectations. So I'm over here loving it. If you don't know, which probably most people do know about it, even if you haven't seen it, Bridgerton takes place in Regency London, I believe in the 1800s, and it features the Duke and it features Daphne, and they pretend to be in a relationship to help each other out and then end up falling in love. That is basically the entire story. So I found out that this was based on a book series. A lot of people might know that just from watching previews, and if they saw interviews, maybe they might know this is based on a book. So once I heard that, I was like, I need to read it. And I definitely want to read the entire series. I believe there are 8 books, 1 for each Bridgerton sibling. Hopefully there will be 8 seasons. I don't know. I really enjoyed the first one, and I'm hoping that they will continue the same as the first one did. So let's get into versus the TV show and the book. So I really did enjoy the TV show, so I did kind of have some high expectations for the book. But yeah, this is not, of course, this is not the original cover. This is the TV show cover on it. I am going to order the original cover. I prefer books with the original covers. I don't really like when like a movie or TV show is made and they put the TV show or movie cover on it. The reason I got this one is I went to my local bookstore and was seeing they had the series at all because I wanted to read the second book and the first book. For the first one, this is the only version they had, so I was like, I really want to read it, so I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to order the original one because I'm going to read the rest, and those all have the original book covers, so I want them all to match. So I am going to read the other ones and get the original book one for this. I really wanted to read the second book because it did get renewed for a second season. Unfortunately, they didn't have it, so I'm probably going to check at Barnes & Noble or something and try and go get it and get the rest of the series as well. I got a couple other books. I don't remember which ones they are in the series, but they had about 3 or 4 at this local bookstore. So I bought them all. I was like, give them to me now. And then I'll try and find the others somewhere else. But anyway, let's get to the comparison and what I thought of the book and how it compares to the TV show. So while reading it, it actually really did follow, in my opinion, pretty closely to the TV show. And I think because you have a whole show or a whole season to do a book, and not just like an entire 8 books, you can a whole season dedicated to one book. I think, in my opinion, maybe that's a reason they enough time and were able to get as closely to the book as they would like and wanted to. There were definitely differences, as there always will be with a TV show, movie, and book adaptation. There were a couple things in the book which they changed in the movie that I was kind of glad about, and there were things in the book that they changed in the TV show that I was not happy about. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but some people, when it's not exactly like the book, they get really upset, and like I was like that when I was a teenager. I'm like, why can't they make it exactly like the book? But now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, a book is never going to be exactly like the TV show or movie. If there is one that's close or really, really close, let me know. I would definitely want to check that out. But most of the time, it's not going to be exactly like the book or whatever, which I grew up and understood. But now I like kind of like watching something and reading and comparing, like, okay, why do I think they changed that? Could the story have done without that, or would this element have added extra to the TV show or movie and something like they should have included? So I kind of looked at it that kind of way and kind of analyze how they did it while I'm reading the story. I'm like, okay, I can get why they changed that. I can get why they removed that. Well, this is from Firefly Bookstore. And this bookmark is from Barnes & Noble, actually. I saw a bookmark and it was a remote, and I was like, I have to get this. I watched too much TV to not get this remote, so I thought it was super cute. So that's why I decided to, put a little bookmark with the TV show. Okay, so these are the major things, in my opinion, that stood out of what I really liked about the book versus the TV show, and other things that stood out which I kind of didn't like about the TV show and the book. Like the TV show, how it is a little risque, the book is also a little risque, and I even think sometimes a little more so in some scenes, in my opinion. One major scene that was in the garden when the Duke and Daphne meet in the garden and they have their kiss in the show. And that's like a really important scene. That's where they kind of like reveal their true feelings for each other. In the book, it went down a little bit more than that. So yeah, in the book, it was not just a kiss. It didn't go all the way, but it went farther. Like he was undressing her in the garden, and it was like she was fine with that. They were they were like very passionate, and that was one thing I am glad they changed, because when I was reading it, I was like, what? Because in the show, she didn't really know anything beyond a kiss and intimacy, and to me it just seemed weird and didn't make sense to me that she never kissed a guy, never did anything with a guy, and then she brings him to the garden and she's like ready to get down right and then and there. To me, it didn't make sense. Like, if you didn't know, I'm like, I don't know. To me, it didn't make sense. I felt like she was like, you know, into him in the passion, and I guess she'd be willing, but like he like undresses her and then she's completely fine. Like, and the way the book put it, it was like she didn't have a second thought about it. I don't know. To me, it just seemed like weird. I was like, okay. I feel like in the book, it would show she was shocked. She didn't really like know what she was doing. It was different, but she was like liking it. Something like that. But it didn't have anything like that. It just was like he was undressing her and then her dress was off. And then her brother comes in and sees her. Which is so embarrassing. So I'm kind of glad in the show they made it just they were like making out in the garden. But I'm kind of glad they made it that way, because show and in the book it says that she doesn't really know anything, and in the book I'm like, well, did they change that for the TV show to make it more dramatic? But no, in the book she doesn't know, like she doesn't know what sex is or anything like that, and I got confused. I'm like, well, does she know what this is? And she wanted to experience it. I was just confused. So I'm kind of glad in the TV show they changed it, because in the book it was a little confusing, because even in some parts of the book she's like, I know I have 3 older brothers, so I kind of know what guys do. It gave the impression she knew what sex was. And she knew more than a kiss that her brothers did, because they were men in this time. So in the book, it seemed like she kind of knew different things about intimacy. So that's why I was a little confused when near the end, as they got married, she didn't really know. So to me, that was confusing. So yeah, that is one scene I'm super glad they changed in the TV show, and I can get why they changed that she has 3 other brothers, blah, blah, blah. Because she said that a lot throughout the book. She said, I had 3 other brothers, I know about men and all those stuff. Because she really didn't. And all this intimacy. So I'm kind of glad they took that out of the show, because to me it's a little confusing. Another scene that they changed was the scene when the scene where she finds out like what he's doing and how he's not having kids with her, like how he's doing it. So in the book, how it happens is that she does have that tea with the not the housekeeper, but the head of the house, the woman, I don't know the exact name, but she does have the tea. She's like, empty womb needs seed and things like that. And she didn't really get it. And then in the book, she's with Simon in the bed, and then she like, voila, has this revelation after they do it, and he like laces himself on the side of the bed. She has a revelation like, oh, that's what she meant. I'm glad they changed it, because when you read that, you're like, does she really know? Does she? I feel like she might be like curious, but I don't think she would know exactly. To me, that didn't really make sense. So in the TV show, when she like goes and asks her like, I believe her lady's maid, when she asks her in detail like what happens between a man and woman, and she tells her that makes more sense because Daphne is unaware and she doesn't know. So to me that made more sense, and I'm glad they changed that in the TV show. Also, they changed the actual scene where after she finds out and she goes and makes him, or like kind of tricks him into having a baby with her. In that scene in the book, he went to the bar before. So before this, they had a fight because she kind of realized, because in the book she has an aha moment and she's like, you told me you can't have kids, not that you won't have kids. And they had a huge fight, and she decided to go in a different room and like sleep in another room. And so they had a fight. So because they had a fight, he decides to go out drinking and drown his sorrows. And then while he's drowning his sorrows, he's like, I need to go get her back. I need to go win her back. So he goes back to the house and finds her. He's like, let me in, Daphne. Let's talk about this and all these things. So he's like drunk, and he's like, don't leave me alone. Stay with me. So she stays with him for that night, and they're like, they're like cuddling. Like he's like his arms around her, and he's like, no, stay with me. And so they're there, and so she kind of wakes up, and he's still there. You know, he's probably still a little drunk for the next morning, but he's not fully awake. She decides to kiss him, and well, he's not fully awake, but he's like dreaming about her because she can hear him and she can see that he is aroused. So she like decides to kiss him and everything. And I think as she's kissing him, she has this thought that this is my chance while he is not fully aware of what he's doing, which I am glad they changed in the book. So she's like, this is my moment. So he's still kind of sleeping. She decides to pleasure him while he's kind of sleeping, and then she's on top of him and he wakes up, and then he's like, keep going. Like he's awake now, but he tells her to keep going and tells her to keep doing what you're doing. So she's like playing into it and kind of making him more aroused so that he will give her a child, basically. So she's on top of him and he tries to get from underneath her, but she stops him and he finishes, and immediately he knows what she did and knows that he like kind of betrayed his wishes. So that scene was definitely different because in the TV show, he doesn't really know what she's doing until she says, but in the book, after it happened, he knows what she did because they had a huge fight the night before about it. So that's what they changed in the TV show, and I'm kind of glad they did it, just because he was like kind of drunk the night before and kind of like asleep and kind of, I feel like, drunk until the next morning. And even within the show, even within the book after, they were both questioning, like, did I give my consent? And she's like, did I? He told me to keep going. And he's like, yeah, I did encourage her. So it was like, you know, kind of like a blurred line. And it was like, didn't feel right. Like, even the one in the movie was messed up, but the one in the book, definitely, I'm glad they changed that. I was like, okay, yeah. That was another scene that was changed. And that one was even a little bit, I feel like, a little bit more risque than the scene that was in the movie. Just how they described it in the book. So those were the two scenes I'm kind of glad they changed. Because I think if they had those in the TV show, it would make it a little bit more confusing. Another thing I'm glad they changed is in the book, we see that they enter into a fake relationship, but it's kind of more as a right-away situation. It seemed a little too quick, in my opinion. In the book, this is how he doesn't know Daphne, but he meets her in the garden for the first time. And then he has to dance with her inside after the whole punch to Nigel situation happened. So after he has a dance with her, he sees more mothers coming towards him with his daughters. And he's like, hey, you don't really like me, but can we enter into this fake relationship? You know, you don't want to marry me, and I'm not looking to be married. So can we enter into a fake relationship to help each other? And it was kind of like a right-away situation. To me, I was like, wow, that's real quick. When I read that in the book. And in the TV show, I'm kind of glad it wasn't that quick. In the TV show, like, they had met at a dance before, and then he had come to their house for dinner. And so they kind of had a couple meetings, and they built their dislike for each other a bit more. And then it was like, I think the third, maybe a couple other times that they met, he was like, okay, let's enter into this fake relationship. And I like that version. So in the book, one thing I wish they included more was Simon's stutter and like how difficult it was for him. We definitely did see Simon's backstory with his father and that relationship. But what I didn't really see in the book was that throughout his life, he did struggle with a stutter if he got very emotional or very angry, something like that. He did still have his stutter when he couldn't control his emotions. So I wish they kind of showed more of that. We see in the beginning when he was younger, he had a stutter, and then he overcame it and learned how to speak regularly and not stutter. But what we didn't see is that throughout the book, Daphne kind of brings the stutter out in him when he gets overly emotional. And I think that was kind of nice to see in the book, to see him get vulnerable. And a sign of that was when you did see him like stutter and he couldn't really get all his emotions out. He would stutter, and that was what happened. And in his mind, he saw it as like he didn't want to show this part of himself. He didn't want to be that vulnerable. He didn't want to go back to that time when he could not speak, when his father did kind of toss him to the side and did not want him a part of his life because of the stutter. he does see it as negative, which is understandable because of how he grew up and how he was treated because of this speech impediment. But Daphne does not see it like that. You know, she knows he overcomes emotion when this does happen eventually. And she's like, you know, just breathe, you got this. So I wish kind of we saw that more in the book. I wish we saw him, when he's around Daphne, when he's over emotional, we saw him struggle a little bit more, get vulnerable with her. And he gets so angry or so passionate or so emotional with her that this speech impediment comes out again. And he can't, it's just another sign of, to me, he can't really control himself with her. She can like reach into him and make him emotional, that this does come back. So I guess you could kind of see that as a disadvantage, but to me, it's like you can be your complete self with someone. You can see show them the parts of you that you think are the worst of you, and they still love you, and they don't even think of it as the worst of you, that it's just a part of you, and they love you with everything. So that's something I wish that they had included in the TV show. Another thing I kind of liked in the book, which I don't think you could really tell in TV show, and I don't think it was really portrayed like this. So when Daphne and Simon first meet, they don't initially like each other. You know, they're kind of like, who is this girl? Who is this guy? But there is a physical attraction to them in the book. So in the book, so this might have got a little lost in the TV show. I'm not quite sure. To me, it didn't seem like they had initial attraction to each other at all. But in the book, when they first meet, which is in the garden when she punches Nigel, like they see each other and he's like, oh, who is this girl? And she's like, who's this guy? But they do find each other physically attractive too. He's like, oh, she's very attractive. Like her just punching that guy. She's not like, she's not like other girls. And he finds that attractive in her. And she does find him attractive too, even though she finds him a little bit full of himself sometimes, thinks he knows everything, like thinks he's all that. But she does find him physically attractive. In the TV show, I didn't really get that. I didn't really feel that in the beginning. I just thought that like, okay, they see each other and he's like, you don't know who I am. You bumped into me by accident. Sure. And she's like, I don't know who you think you are, but I don't know. But I don't know you. I don't want to know you. You're being rude. So those are my biggest differences between the book and the TV show. Overall, they were relatively the same in my opinion. I definitely liked the TV show a whole lot better than I liked the book. It might have been because I had very high expectations for the book, and for the TV show, I didn't have high expectations. So that might be why I didn't view them as the same, or I didn't think the book was as good. But I think it was a decent read. I put it at 3 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was, an okay read. I actually finished this book in about a day. Crazy. I participated in this readathon it was my first readathon ever, so I was super excited. I participated in Becca's Bookoplathon. I have like a couple clips of maybe one clip of me staying up reading and trying to get this book finished for the Bookoplathon, but that was really fun. And I'm super excited to read the second one. I'm going to try to read the entire series before season 2 comes out, because I kind of want to get through them all and not remember them 100% by the time I watch the next season, because I feel like I would be like too critical and it's to be too fresh. I like when it like sits with you for a while and then you go into the TV show or the movie and they're like, okay, I can appreciate the differences more. I'm like, okay, why they do this, why they change that. And one thing that is in the show that is not in the book is all the different storylines. In the book, it only focuses on Simon and Daphne. That is the sole purpose of this book, and that is really all you see within the book. In the TV show, the main focus is Daphne and Simon, but you do have all these other storylines taking place as well. And to me, that kind of makes sense. In a TV show, especially in a first season, you kind of want to lay the groundwork for the next seasons, and it does get you interested in everyone's story and makes you want to find out more about other people. Also in this book, Lady Whistledown is not revealed. In season 1, at the end, you do see who Lady Whistledown is. So that was something that was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that in the book. I was expecting them to just say who she is right away. And then I'm like, okay, like how in the show was. But it was not like that. And even in the book, Lady Whistledown to me was not a very prevalent person. She was there, and I believe before every chapter, it was a insert from Lady Whistledown, and then the chapter began after like one of her society papers or gossip column. And in the TV show, to me, it seemed like she's a more prevalent person, a more prevalent character within and throughout the entire show. Her not driving the story, but you see her more throughout this TV show. So that was something I expected more of Lady Whistledown in the book, and I didn't mind not really seeing her. It's more about Simon and Daphne, which I was really focused on, but I was expecting her to be more. And there were characters that weren't mentioned in the book that were mentioned in TV show, so I'm not sure if they added more characters, which, you know, possibly they could have, or if we don't hear about those characters until further down the line in the series, and they just started their story kind of now, so they're kind of introduced, and then we get more into them later on, which would make sense. I know the Queen is not in the series, and they added her in, and we love the Queen. Love the Queen. You know, so glad they added in her character. Add a little bit more drama. Like, why not? The next book and the next season will be focused on Anthony. So I am interested to see how that is, because in the TV show, Anthony does have sort of like a love interest, and that kind of ends, and now he's like, okay, I'm going to find a wife. I am interested to see how season 2 and how the book will be. Or in a TV show that they can kind of play around a bit. They can add more characters. They can lay the groundwork. They have, hopefully, we'll have 8 seasons for each Bridgerton sibling and get to go in depth in their love story for a whole entire season. So they can focus on the main characters while putting like other subtle characters and building their story along the line throughout each season. And I'm kind of glad that I did like the TV show. It was about Simon and Daphne, but you got to see other people and you can see them grow within the series. I do think even if they did it, like just focus on each couple, I think it would have been fine as well. But I think what made Bridgerton so successful is how they did it. And maybe it wouldn't have been as successful if they just like, okay, here's one love story, here's another love story, and not really kind of connecting, but maybe not connecting as much as they would have as what they are doing currently. But that's all I'm going to say. I feel like I'm going into so much detail between the book and the TV show. So if you did like the TV show, I would say go ahead and grab the book, give it a read. Let me know what you thought. Did you think it was better? Did you think it was worse? In my opinion, I did like the TV show a whole lot more. I do think in the book, some of the scenes were a little bit more risque than I expected them to be. I thought the show was risque, but when I was reading the book, I was like, okay, Julia Quinn going in with these scenes. But yeah, I really liked it. I am so excited to see season 2 of Bridgerton, and I hope it comes around Christmas again, because that was the best time. But I am super excited to see season 2, and I am super excited to read the book too. I honestly might do like a whole video of me going through each book in the series, seeing what I thought overall of the series for each book. And then as each season comes out, maybe comparing it here or there about what I thought. But I hope you enjoyed this comparison between the book and the TV show. If you want more TV content, definitely check out my blog. I will link that below in the description box. You can click on that. So much more TV content on there. And you can follow me on Twitter as well. I do post every time I upload a video, and every time I have a new post, it'll be on there as well if you want to check that out. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye!